Welcome to episode 81 of the Weesports Chronicles podcast, Masters Edition. We are 54 holes through the Masters, only 18 more to go before we crown a green jacket winner. My name is lukasweese, host of the Weesports Chronicles podcast, and to break down the third round that we just saw of the Masters, I've brought on Eric Patterson. He is the golf editor at The Score. Eric, welcome to the pod. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I was kind of hoping we'd have a little tighter of a leaderboard to talk about, but right now it's a one-man show. But hey, anything can happen in 18 holes at Augusta.
Absolutely, and I don't know about you, Eric, but when I first sat on my couch getting ready to really take in the hours of Masters content this afternoon, at one point today, it was a 9-way tie for first at 9 under par, and then Dustin Johnson just dominated. And but it was quite, we thought we were going to have that cluttered leaderboard, but now it was quite the tour de force that we saw.
Yeah, I guess that when it was 9 ways, I think DJ was sitting on the middle of the fairway on number 2, and he said enough of this. He put a 221-yard approach shot to 3 feet, rolled in the eagle, and kind of blew away the competition from there. It was another clinical display by DJ, his second 65 of the week, I believe. Only a handful of players have ever done that, and yeah, it matches the 54-hole scoring record, a 4-shot lead. But this is Dustin Johnson. He's been here before, and we know how that's gone. He didn't close the 54-hole lead at the PGA Championship, so it's not over yet, but it does certainly look like DJ is going to be sliding on the green jacket.
As you said, Dustin Johnson shooting a 7 under 65 in the third round. This was his second 65 of the week. And he ties Jordan Spieth with the lowest 54-hole score at the Masters in Masters history. And anyone that shot 14 under or better after 54 holes, all of them have gone on to win the green jacket. So definitely a good position for DJ. But I don't know about you, Eric, but that start, obviously, you mentioned that great shot at 2 to get the eagle. He then rattles off a few more birdies on the front 9, but it just felt so mechanical to me. It felt, at times like it was just, the normal stress-free Dustin Johnson, like it was like a practice round. Meanwhile, everyone else on the golf course around him was, firing bogeys, making mistakes. It was Dustin Johnson who, to me, played a real mistake-free round of golf.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone in the game today that can make golf look as easy as DJ makes it look. We saw it as recently as the Northern Trust in the playoffs. He won by a handful. He just has this way about him. He can just saunter his way around a course, and without much effort, it seems like he's posting something in the middle of 60s. And the only question about his game coming into this was a bit of form, but he proved that he was playing well last week at the Houston Open. So it's almost expected that he should be at the top of the leaderboard. It's a little disappointing at the same time that there aren't more players within 1 or 2 shots of the lead. But DJ, you can't say enough good things about him. He's the number 1 player in the world for a reason, and he's proving exactly why through 3 days so far.
Well, it's interesting because, as you said, he came into the Masters with a bit of questions. Obviously, he had tested positive for COVID-19, which knocked him out of the game for a bit. And I think that the golf world was just obsessed with Bryson DeChambeau, rightfully so, after what we saw at the U.S. Open, and didn't really give DJ much of a chance. And I think DJ sort of took that and said, you know what? I'm still here. I'm still world number 1, the player of the year in 2020, given that he just won the FedEx Cup. And it's not just the driving, I think, Eric, like that reminds me similar to what Jack Nicklaus used to do in terms of, consistency and whatnot. But I think his short game as well has been very accurate. And certainly, he's certainly one of the leaders at this Masters in proximity to the hole. And that just makes life a lot easier for you, especially at a course like Augusta National, where it's a second shot course and you have to make sure that your iron game is strong.
I mean, yeah, DJ has, early in his career, he might have had some weaknesses in his game with his short game and putting, but right now he's as complete of a player as you can find. The way he's putting it too, like him and his brother, they do take their times on the green to read putts, but you can't argue with the results. He seems to be able to find. He rolled in a 38-footer. I think it was on number 4 today. It was just like, dude, like slow down. We want to make this close, but like he when he gets hot like this, it doesn't look like he's playing that well. But I mean, it's so methodical and so easy, and yeah, like you said, it just everything's firing, everything's working, and that's why he has a 4-shot lead. It's just it's all around impressive.
We did, though, see Dustin Johnson have a lead at a major championship after 54 holes, as you said, at the PGA Championship this year. It was a 3-shot lead. He did not end up winning that PGA Championship. In fact, Eric, Dustin Johnson, whenever he's had a 54-hole lead, has not won a major championship. So I guess like that's certainly one of the question marks going into tomorrow. I mean, obviously a 4-shot lead is sizable, but I mean, look at the 2016 U.S. Open, which Dustin Johnson won. Shane Lowry had a 4-shot lead. Now I know it's Shane Lowry; he hadn't won the Open Championship yet, but a 4-shot lead can be overcome. So, I guess is it just the same for Dustin Johnson? Do the same thing as today, or just play up to that sort of potential, and he's gonna get this thing done?
I know it's crazy to think about like the quality of player that DJ is, and the fact that he does have these like negatives working against him as he sits on a 4-shot lead. Like we think back to the 2010 U.S. Open when he broke down in the final round. The 2018 U.S. Open, I believe he had the 54-hole lead that Koepka came back and won. So he does have an extensive history of these blowups, and you just don't really think of that from a 23-time PGA Tour winner. So this guy knows how to win. He knows how to win maybe better than anyone in golf today, other than maybe a Tiger. But I like of his ilk, of his generation of players, he's one of the most prolific winners there is. And it's shocking that he only has one major win. It doesn't seem unlikely that he's going to finish his career with just one. So you expect him to get over the hurdle eventually, and this is probably the time it's going to happen. But I mean, he just something has to click for him tomorrow. Even if he shoots like 4 under, which is a mediocre round for him at this point, it seems like he should be okay.
Absolutely, and I mean, it just goes to show you how hard it is to win not just any major, but your second major. I mean, I think you can win your first major, a bunch of different ways, and DJ certainly did that at a tough course like Oakmont in 2016. But I think when you win your second major, Eric, you're then entered into this category where, okay, you're one of the best in the game. And DJ has been regarded as that, given his performance on the PGA Tour in recent years. But that's been the big question mark, like we've talked about. Just, what is it about the majors that just isn't up to par? And again, it is hard to win major championships. And certainly we've seen Brooks Koepka dominate the last few years. But DJ's certainly better than one major, but you have to earn it. And I think if he were to win tomorrow, I mean, to win the Masters and to be in that such rare company of Masters champions would certainly enhance his already Hall of Fame legacy.
Yeah, I was just thinking back at the DJ's at the PGA when he had a 3-shot lead. He didn't really lose it. He still shot under par in that final round, but Morikawa just came out and beat him. So you can't really blame DJ for a lack of effort on Sunday. But I mean, if we're sitting at the same time tomorrow night and DJ doesn't somehow have the green jacket on, then there's going to be red flags being raised all over the place, because at this point there's obviously something between the ears that doesn't work for him, because he could zone out and shoot 68 around Augusta. It doesn't seem like with any issue, but maybe no fans helps him. I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't quite feel like a typical Masters Sunday. I'm not sure what would spur him on to have a slow Sunday. But I mean, you look at the list of chasers. Like, no offense to these guys, but Sung J M, Abraham Answer, Cameron Smith are the next closest competitors. Dylan Fratelli, even 5-back. No major wins between any of these guys. Maybe 2 PGA Tour wins from my count off. 3 PGA Tour wins from these guys. So just not like a long list of notorious winners that could probably come back and beat him. It stinks that JT slipped to 10 under, but I was hoping he was going to make a little bit of noise. But DJ versus these top guys, it seems too easy at this point.
Let's chat a bit about the disappointments, because I think, again, I mean, as we were going into today, I think we wanted, a closer leaderboard. And the two guys I think that are obvious to point out to me are JT and Jon Rahm. And I think even Jon Rahm a little bit more, because, I mean, he started, obviously had to finish his second round earlier Saturday morning. And he had birdie holes left. And I thought going in, okay, he's probably going to have a 1 or 2 shot lead heading into the third round. Instead, he finishes at 9 under, doesn't take advantage, and then really his round blows up at the 8th hole, where he did a shot that many recreational golfers can relate to, not finding airborne on that second shot, and just sort of led his round astray. Then JT, he hung in there, but then just a few loose swings down the stretch sort of, knocked him out of contention. So for those two guys, the world number 2 and number 3 respectively, who were sort of the main chasers of DJ, certainly fell off the map as we head into tomorrow.
Yeah, it's for golf fans. I mean, everyone was talking about how the top 3 ranked players in the world all held a share of the lead going into round 3, and you would expect that at least 2 of those guys would maybe make up the final pairing or be in the final group on Sunday. And it sucks kind of to see that. I mean, Jon Rahm's, I don't know what that shot was on 8, but I could pull that off no problem if you take me out for a round. So that's disappointing to see him make a double bogey there on a par 5, and then he definitely didn't build on that moving forward. He couldn't really recover. And JT, there's a legit. You can make an argument he should be at 15 under right now. Mm-hmm. He gave away shots on the closing few holes, a number of unforced errors, and it just it's tough to see. But these guys haven't been there before. For as good and as young as JT and Rahm are, I don't believe he's never finished in the top 10 at Augusta, so there's no way he would have ever played in the final group at the Masters. And Rahm, he's had some decent success in majors, but he's never really contended. Like, he might have snuck up. I think it was the 2019 U.S. Open. He kind of snuck in there late, but it was really a Woodland Koepka show. So Rahm's almost getting his first taste of like that real major championship pressure. Playing alongside DJ in the second to last group is it's a lot, but it's obviously a learning experience. They might be able to muster up some sort of rally tomorrow, but I was just wishing they were going to be, within at least 2 or 3 shots of DJ, but it's just not quite the case.
Well, I think I saw Alan Shipnuck tweet just during the Masters third round that, when all these golfers are making the mistakes, the JT bogeys, Patrick Reed was in it for some time today. He made some mistakes, of course, Jon Rahm. They're making the mistakes when DJ is perfect, which means they needed to be perfect just to even be in the mix. Like you said, at least JT 15 under par. And I don't know, I just think it's disappointing for JT because, look, I understand he hasn't been near the top of the leaderboard at the Masters. He's certainly improved over the years, but not certainly in the mix come Sunday. But he is a major champion. And this is someone who, again, sort of like DJ, is a perennial staple on the PGA Tour. Like, he's a guy that consistently seems to win at least a tournament every single year. And since that 2017 PGA Championship win, hasn't really been up to par at the majors, which makes, I think, this third round performance today disappointing as well. Just couldn't, muster up the shots to really put together a good round.
Yeah, it's I'm personally, he was my pick at the beginning of the week. I really would have liked to have seen him stick around. It was unforced error after unforced error, and there's no reason for what was going on. On number 12, couldn't get up and down. 14, he pulled like a 9-iron over the left side of the green and then had a terrible chip that just not so uncharacteristic for him. And then on the par 5 15th, he put his second shot over the back into the water. So just like, not even bad mistakes. They're just so uncharacteristic for him that it just, obviously, maybe he took a peek at the leaderboard, saw he was within a couple shots of DJ, and that's all it takes. You can maybe start thinking a little too far ahead. So it's definitely frustrating. I'm sure AT's kicking himself pretty good right now, knowing that he's, what is he, 5-6 back going into the final round?
6 back.
insurmountable at this point when he could have had a really he would have been him and DJ in the final round would have been like the show that we really wanted to cap 2020 off with. But right now, unless he comes out and goes birdie eagle birdie birdie or something, it's just not. It really doesn't look like it's going to take shape.
I'm sure JT isn't thinking about history, but that's why I'm here, because in 2011, which was one of two times in the previous 10 years where a 54-hole leader had a 4-shot lead. That 2011 Masters was when Rory McIlroy blew it with a 4-shot lead. So I guess you could hope for a collapse, and I guess that's what those guys are hoping for that are 6 and 7 back, because even if they shoot under par, and even if they shoot a crazy round like a 63 or 64, if DJ's playing like he is now, it's just impossible to catch.
I did see that there might be a little bit more wind tomorrow at Augusta, which is maybe the only thing that's going to get in DJ's way. Like if we saw what happened last year on number 12, those water balls are lurking out there. I personally don't see it, but again, DJ's been prone to collapsing in the past, and it's never out of the question. I mean, Augusta has a history of taking you down when you're looks like you're cruising towards a green jacket. It somehow finds a way to come up and bite you. So if DJ was already talking about sliding on the green jacket, so maybe he's looking a little too far ahead already too. So we'll see. It's 18 holes left, but it might not be as exciting as we hope.
3 guys are tied for second now, Eric, like you mentioned earlier: Sungjae Im, Abraham Answer, and Cameron Smith. And of course, they don't have the major championship experience yet. I know that these guys, are just relatively new on the PGA Tour. But do you think the fact that there are no fans, or patrons, I should say, in attendance, that those 3 guys could at least, not get as distracted by the moment that it is a final round tomorrow at a major championship?
I truthfully do. I think we saw it at the PGA Championship with Morikawa, even at the U.S. Open when Matthew Wolff played in the final pairing. Like these young first timers, Answer's never played in a major or at the Masters, and neither has Sungjae. So, like two debutantes in the final group, or at least in 2 of the final 2 pairings, is not what you expect at the Masters. So perhaps they are looking at this moment maybe not as big as it might seem to them, being in November with no fans. But I'm sure when they step on the tee tomorrow for their first tee ball next to Dustin Johnson at number 1 at Augusta, it probably is gonna hit them. But it's probably helped them so far through 3 days, but we'll see how once they know really what's at stake. I think it's going to hit them. But there's definitely something to it. It just how do you quantify that? There's no really knowing that. It could be a coincidence. It actually could be a factor. I'm not too sure, but I'm interested to see. I think Sungjae has the best chance to make a run out of the group, but it's gonna be it's a tall order. It's gonna be an uphill battle.
Absolutely, and as golf stats guru Justin Ray tweeted, I mean, Sungjae Im would be the youngest ever Masters champion born outside the United States, and I think it'd be significant for him certainly to win. I know people in Korea are going to be up early tomorrow, probably tuning into the Masters, but I mean, obviously, Eric, it's been an interesting week, and obviously so lucky to have the Masters, but clearly the 2020 Masters has made history just for the scoring, and it is the lowest scoring average through 3 rounds in Masters history at 71.65. I know that the course has been soft and it's gotten a lot of rain, but do you like that it's like sort of gettable for the golfers, or would you have preferred more of a challenging test that often Augusta provides?
Yeah, they're playing the course that's presented them. There was a heavy dump of rain Wednesday and Thursday, so it's almost the conditions, how hard they can really make it, is taken out of the hands of the organizers. So it is what it is at this point. I mean, Augusta's not one to really trick up the course. They've been putting pins in pretty generous locations. They could have put them in a lot tougher spots. I mean, there's been a handful of those funnel pins that you see guys just laying the ball like 10, 15 yard pass, and it just starts rolling down, and they have like a 5-footer for birdie. So they've been generous. And I don't mind it. I'm not one to get my fist in the air about course setup or scoring conditions. It's Augusta. We know to expect, and I'm a little more sympathetic because they did have so much rain that those first 2 days, like they were landing 3 woods on some of those par fives, and they were just hitting and sticking, which is not what we've come accustomed to. But it is what it is at this point. It's not like the U.S. Open where we expect even par to win, and we get all kind of riled up when someone's shooting like 5 or 6 under. But the Masters is what it is. It can be scoreable. There's 4 par fives, so it's a little bit easier that way. But yeah, DJ is just putting on a clinic. You can't argue against it. The next closest guy, 4 back. So if DJ was 13, it might not be as much of a discussion about how easy it is. It just it's when one guy, he's kind of torching the place, so you're going to start talking a little bit more about it.
Do you think, because chances are we are going to see a new 72-hole record tomorrow if DJ does end up winning? Do you think that is the best? Do you think that if he does reach the 72-hole record, that would be the best Masters performance that we've seen? Or do you think because it's November, it doesn't have the same as, let's say, what Jordan Spieth did or even Tiger Woods did back in 1997?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't make it about the month. I wouldn't say because it's November, it's not the best Masters performance of all time. I just think relative to the field, it's probably not the best. I don't have the numbers in front of me to say that, but Tiger's win in '97 was so dominant. I wouldn't be comparing it to that. It's hard to say. I'm not going to go out and say because it's November, it can't be considered one of the best. It's clearly depending on what he does tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to be. We can make that conclusion then. If he goes out and shoots another 6 or 7 under round and he's into the 20s, then there's the discussion for sure. But for now, it's up there. I'm not going to say it's the best, but I'm not going to say it doesn't count because it is November.
Yeah, that's certainly a fair point. Obviously a lot to be determined tomorrow. It's crazy to think though that when Tiger won in '97, he won by 12 shots, and 4 players were 4 under or better. Currently, as we head into tomorrow, there are 28 players that are 4 under or better. So it's an interesting sort of look back. But I do think that a lot depends on what DJ does tomorrow. It's certainly a different game compared to '97. You can make a case that it's closer competition compared to '97. Obviously, '97 stands out for what it is, Tiger's first major win. But I think if DJ were to win by a dominant margin tomorrow, that you have to certainly include it into the conversation as one of the best Masters performances of all time.
Yeah, no, I can get on board with that. If DJ does win by 4, if he wins by 8 or 9, that would be truly remarkable given the amount of talent. Like you said, they're all playing. Tiger was playing a completely different game in '97. It was, I don't remember it from personal experience, but looking back and reading and watching videos, he was just hitting it way further than everyone else and just completely dominant and just playing a completely different course. Whereas DJ, he's long, but I'm not going to say he's much longer than Rahm or JT. He wouldn't have that much of a leg up on those guys, or even McIlroy or Koepka. So it's very similar competitors. The left playing field and the margin of victory now these days, it seems so much narrower than what Tiger was facing in '97. So to have a runaway victory this week would be definitely one for the record books at the Masters here.
This podcast has a lot of Canadian listeners, Eric, and it's obviously great to see 3 Canadians making the cut. I know that Corey Connors had a fantastic round today with a 1 under finish, and then of course Mike Weir sighting, which is quite remarkable to see. Just comment on your thoughts seeing all 3 Canadians, Connors, Nick Taylor, and Mike Weir, all making the cut here at the Masters this weekend.
Yeah, there was for a moment there this morning, Weir was the focal point of the story because he had such an impact on what the cut was going to be. So we got some nice Mike Weir shots, to see him at 2 under in a, again, back to the difference in today's game versus maybe 20 years ago. I don't know what his driving average is right now, but it can't be much past 260 yards, which is a completely different Augusta National compared to what the longer hitters are playing. So obviously he's found something. And Corey Connors, I mean, I think he shot the lowest round in round 2, so 65. And I believe Faldo kept talking about on the broadcast how the low round gets you a nice little crystal glass or crystal vase or something. So that'll be on Corey's mantle for the rest of his life, which is pretty nice. I wouldn't say I expected it, but it's not it's not a surprise to see Corey Connors playing so well because he is such a world-class ball striker, and he one of the better complete tee to green guys in the game. It's just the putter that typically lets him down. And for Nick Taylor, I think he made the cut right on the number and then got to play with Mike Weir in round 3. So it's probably been a thrill for his first major or first Masters. And I'm sure we'll get some quotes out of him, from the TSNs of the world where he's just kind of raving about his first go around. It's definitely going to be a memorable one for him.
No, absolutely. And for someone that's, had, some, time off with the pause and whatnot, I know that he won earlier this year at Pebble Beach, but certainly nice to see him play so well. And of course, Mike Weir was playing well coming into this on the Champions Tour and certainly knows Augusta National quite well from winning back in 2003. Eric, I mean, if DJ does end up winning tomorrow, where does this win put him just amongst his peers? I mean, obviously he's a Hall of Fame golfer given his resume already, but do you think that if he does get the second major tomorrow that he's certainly one of the best players of this era?
Yeah, I think even without it, he's probably already there. Him and McIlroy, I would say, are neck and neck. Koepka's tried to throw his hat into the ring, but he just doesn't really win enough outside of majors to have that conversation. And Koepka at the PGA Championship, when he was looking at the leaderboard, he wasn't too worried about DJ because he said he only has one major. So this is going to be a nice little response to that comment. I think DJ, 23, it'd be his 24th win, second major. I was going through it earlier just before we hopped on here. I think there's only been like 30, maybe he might be the 30th player of like the 20 and 2 club. So, and not many of those guys are alive anymore. So it's pretty remarkable that the career he's put together. I think he's won almost every year he's been on tour. So I would definitely say he's up there in terms of best player of his generation, right beside Rory McIlroy. And generations kind of have blurred lines in between them, but I think you could argue those two have been playing in pretty much the same time frame since like 2008 to now. So I think those two would be neck and neck.
Last question for you, Eric, and I've been asking this of all my Masters guests this week on the pod. If you were to make your Champions dinner menu, what would what would be on it?
Wow, that is well, we know it would be on DJ's. It's going to be sandwiches and more sandwiches because that's what he loves most about the Masters. For mine, I would probably you need an appetizer, a main, and a dessert.
Whatever floats your boat, man. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but whatever floats your boat.
No, if it's okay, so I'm going to start with the dessert. If it's in the fall again, I'll go with a nice pumpkin pie.
Okay.
That's something I enjoy during these months. I'd probably just go with like a typical prime rib dinner with like Yorkshire puddings, keep it like mashed potatoes, a classic English dinner. I think that's probably what I'd roll out. And appetizer, man, I don't even know where I'd go. Bruschetta.
Ooh, there you go. Nice, man.
Pretty simple, but yeah, that's off the top of my head. I don't know.
Do you have the coffee already brewed, ready for tomorrow? I know it's our second consecutive year of early Masters, so I guess the coffee, any breakfast essentials.
I was shocked when I saw the tee times. The leaders are going off at 9:30 a.m., which seems. I think the broadcast window ends at 3, but I was expecting them to let the boys sleep in a little bit because it's been nothing but early mornings so far, and we got split tees and threesomes, so it's like a super condensed tee sheet again. It just, this is back-to-back years we've had Monday or mornings at the Masters. It just, I kind of want to go back to the old way they used to do it when the sun was setting, and that's when the guy's getting crowned a winner. But 2021, hopefully we can go back to normal.
Well, here's hoping in April, but I think the main reason tomorrow is because of the NFL, and which always takes king over any sport in the United States. But anyway, go ahead.
9:30 for the leaders is just. I thought maybe like 11:30, maybe 11, but hey, they'll be up and early. Tiger was. Did you hear Tiger was up at 3:45 this morning getting ready? So man, he's probably in bed now getting ready for another early tee time tomorrow morning. Poor Tiger and the aging back.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it was tough to watch him, but I mean, good that he was able to power through, which is certainly inspiring. Well, listen, Eric Patterson, he's a golf editor for The Score. Make sure to check out his work there. Eric, thanks so much for stopping by. Hope to have you on again soon to chat more golf, and enjoy the final round of the Masters.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast, and same to you. Enjoy Sunday. The next major is also the Masters, so we have something to look forward to.
5 months from now, so that'll be quite the treat. Thanks so much, Eric.